maybe it's a sign of old age, Jessica, but the society is so different today than it was then. Back then, everybody was very, very patriotic. And as I say, every man, woman, and child was involved in the war. World War II was a total war where we had to win. We had no choice. We were fighting Hitler in Europe, and we were fighting the Japanese, Hirohito, in the Pacific. I was in the Pacific, and it was a huge war, huge. And we had to win. There was no conditional surrender, whatever. We had to win 100% because the future of our country depended on the outcome of that war.
When Vietnam was going on, we really didn't have support. There were a lot of people who were against the war, and they were saying that we shouldn't have been there anyhow. And from what I understand is that you're a history buff. From what I understand, when I was a kid, Eisenhower was in Vietnam in 1959, and when Kennedy became president, he whispered in Kennedy's ear and said, hey, there's a place called Vietnam, we're fighting a war over there. And when I saw my brothers and all their friends running around when I was 14, 15 years old, trying to get married, I said, what are you doing? He said, man, the man said, LBJ said we should get a wife and get married before we go to Vietnam. And I'm saying, where's Vietnam? I didn't even know where Vietnam was, or where it was, what part of the globe it was located. And when guys from my neighborhood started dying, that's when I started checking into this, because I know my time was getting near.
We were making some sort of progress there. You know, we were doing our job. You know, we were sent there to do a job, and we felt like we were accomplishing it. But you know, after 30 years later, people have said that we weren't even supposed to be there, and that hurts. That hurts deeply. It's hard to overcome sometimes. It really is hard to overcome. When you think about where we got 52,000, almost 450 or 460 names on that wall down there in Vietnam War, their lives are gone. Yeah, that's a waste. You know, it seems like, why? Post-traumatic stress is coming to its own in the last, I'd say, 30 to 40 years. The difference between the Second World War vet and the Korean War vet, they had a long ride back from the combat area on a boat or a ship or something like that. In my case, or most of the Vietnam veterans that returned from Vietnam safely, in my case, I was wounded, severely wounded, so I was medevac back. And but most of the veterans that returned home after for 1 year of combat were back in the States within 19 hours. So they had no way of transitioning from combat to back to civilian life. A lot of them, I would say, I found out, left their souls, because they were so young, left their souls in Vietnam. They left. So that was a big transition for them. And they never, a lot of them, well, I'd say a great deal of them, well, never recovered.
There's no, I can't understate the importance of, or I can't overstate the importance of an individual receiving mail, even in this 21st century, just to be able to, away from home, away from your family, away from everything that you love, and frankly surrounded by, in some respects, everything you deplore: filth, dirt, sand, grime, lack of decent shower facilities, etc., etc., etc. To have someone knock on your door and say, hey, here's a letter for you to read, it's just special. So that's number one. You can write.
I volunteer.
Why did you volunteer?
I didn't volunteer that day. I volunteered quite a few years before that day. Forgive me. The reason I volunteered is I was interested in creating opportunities for my life. Things were kind of in a rut, and I needed some direction. I can't tell you how uplifting and enlightening it is to have an American citizen say to me, thank you so much. I really appreciate what you've done. I stood up one day, I held up my hand, and I took an oath. And when I took that oath, it was a promise to you and every other American citizen that I would follow through.